What's up guys, Andre here. Today I'm gonna show you what to look for when buying a used bike. The things that you need to check on a bike when you go to buy it, you know. Um, Please stay until the end of the video because I have some things that you're probably not gonna find out anywhere else, like online or on YouTube or anything. Also, if you like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe. That would help a lot. Thank you guys. So first of all, I'm not gonna go through all that, like hey, make sure the bike has good pictures and make sure you talk to the seller and blah blah blah. You're gonna do all that. I'm talking like when you get to see the bike, what to check for. uh, Asking the owner what is with the bike, if it has any issues or anything. He can tell you whatever he wants to tell you. If you find them out, you find them out. If not, that's it. You get screwed. So it's really no point of asking the owner anything about the bike, in my opinion. The best thing to do is just to check it. uh, the one thing that you really need to check, uh, it's the VIN number, to make sure like the VIN number here matches the one in the title. That's very important. Tires, you need to check the tires. And besides the tire wear, you know make sure like the tire wear is, you still have some tread left in the tire. You can also check how the tire was worn. For example, like on my bike here, see all these uneven things. I took my bike on the track a few times, so that's what's gonna happen. That can give you advice, that can give you an idea. Now, a very important thing, even if the tire has good life or good tread, you also need to check the DOT on the tire. Trying to find it here. DOT is basically the date the tire was manufactured. And why I need to check for that is because you don't want to have a very old tire. Okay, for example, this is 1417. It's the 14th week of 2017, so it's kind of getting old. I wouldn't have a tire on my bike older than 5 years. Being here on the wheel area, another thing that you want to check is the brakes. First of all, I'm not sure if you can see on the filming, you can check like the brake pads over there. Make sure they're still pretty thick. Make sure you check the brake discs. How to do that, like simply run your hand over them, and if it's, I don't know, like dented or anything, you're gonna feel it needs to be very smooth. Also, if you have somebody with you, you can just lift the bike a little bit and spin the wheel. Make sure the wheel is not gonna, I don't know, it's gonna spin all the way nice. If it doesn't spin, there might be two issues, like the brake disc might be bent like this, or might be a problem with the brake caliper, like being dirty or stuck or anything like that. Talking about brakes, another thing you want to check is the brake fluid, the level. I mean, that's almost never gonna be under level, but the color of it, you can simply get a screwdriver and open it from there and check the fluid. Make sure it's not too dark. It needs to be pretty light colored. You have one at the front brake over there, there's gonna be one at the rear brake. I think this is starting to get darker. You don't want to have a brake fluid that's older than 4 or 5 years. Another important thing you want to check is check for leaks on the suspension, on the front suspension. Run your hand through it and make sure it doesn't have any leaks, like from here. This is an upside down fork, so the leaks are gonna come from here, but when you have a regular fork, the leaks are gonna be down here. Make sure you don't have leaks. Also make sure there are no leaks on the wheels, on the brakes, any oil, anything like that. Replacing the O-rings, on a fork, it's gonna be pretty expensive, like $200-300. So make sure it doesn't have leaks. Talking about the front fork, you need to check the suspension, and to do that, you can simply like press on the bike, you know, depending on the bike type, press on the bottom, hold the brake, press on the front, you know, jump a little bit on the bike, make sure it's not too soft. I know some of them can be adjustable, but being too soft, you know, or too bouncy, that's not good. And servicing suspension is going to be expensive as well. A very important thing also, you need to check the oil life and oil quality, you know, color. This is the dipstick on this bike. Some of them also have a like a hole, a glass here, and you can see the oil level through that. Also, when you check the oil, make sure you have no leaks, you know, like try to, I don't even know, put your hand here somehow, make sure there's no oil, go under, make sure there's no oil, you know, look under the bike, make sure it doesn't have any leaks, you know, or where the guy had the bike parked, make sure there's no leaks. Another thing that is not as important, but it's pretty expensive to fix, to replace, is the chain and the sprockets. Make sure the chain has good tension. Now it's in gear, so you cannot check it. You need to put it on neutral and make sure it has right amount of adjustment. Make sure it's lubricated, it's not rusted, and also make sure the guide here is not all the way to the end, because that's gonna require the chain to be replaced. And when you replace the chain, you need to replace the sprockets as well, and that's gonna be like another couple $100 for sure. Before buying a bike, see exactly what year and model the bike is. Go online and check what kind of like paint schemes they had in those years. You can tell if it's a different paint scheme, if something is, some bikes were like dropped and repainted, but they were repainted pretty well, but very few minor things were missed from the repainting. So, you know, that's how you can tell if the bike was repainted. Nobody's gonna repaint a bike if they don't have a problem with it, you know. They dropped it or whatever they did to it and they decided to repaint it. So be careful with repainted bikes. Also, if a bike is dropped, or I mean you don't know if it's dropped or not, check the frame, like, you know, the bike frame. Make sure it doesn't have any cracks, make sure it doesn't have any weird weldings on it, you know, like this is how the weldings should look. The subframe as well, make sure it doesn't have cracks or weldings. If you see cracks or weldings on the frame, you run from that bike. That's been probably totaled. Once there's frame damage reported to the bike, that's it. Now, another thing you can see here, like you see this stopper here, there's one here and there's one on the other side. Okay, a damaged bike might have those shaved or scratched or anything like that, you know, because like it hits here the stopper, but being damaged might have broke it or scratch it or something. You don't want to see that. If that's bad looking over there, it doesn't look perfect, that's a very bad thing. Also, take the bike, move it from side to side, the steering, you know, make sure it doesn't touch the frame or the tank or anything like that. It should not touch anything like that. If you think the bike was dropped, even if you don't think, I'm gonna tell you about a small trick that's very smart, and you can tell if the frame is not straight or the front is not straight or anything like that. Just grab a bottle of water, you know, with you when you go see a bike. Pour the water somewhere, you know, on the street. Just make a pothole of water, basically, you know, like a small lake, you know. And even if you don't ride the bike, ask the person who owns the bike to ride it straight to the pothole, and then the tires are gonna get wet. You want to make sure that when he comes out of the water, the tires align perfectly, you know, like the front and the back are gonna be perfectly aligned. If one is here and one is on the other side, that bike, it's bad, you know what I mean, like the frame is bent or the fork is bent or something is very bad. Run away from that bike. Another thing you want to check is make sure like it has no aftermarket like lights or stuff like that, or just try to check the wiring. Some of the wires you might find by lifting the rear seat. You know, if it's a mess of wires here, or lift the rider seat as well. If it's a mess of wires there, man, I would run away from that. Wires are pretty difficult, you know, like electronic issues are very difficult to diagnose and fix. And while you're here, put the ignition on, run all the lights, all the brakes, all the turn signals, everything that this bike has, like electric or electronic. Make sure everything is working good. Another thing you want to do, you're probably not gonna, it's not applying to this bike necessarily because it has like a plastic cover over the tank. You just open the tank and make sure there's no rust inside. I don't know if you can see. Make sure like the colors match. Some tanks, you know, like here might be blue, you know, and outside the tank might be red. So, you know, then it means that the guy painted the bike, you know. Be aware of those things. Now let's talk about the cooling system. Turn the bike on, let it heat pretty good. Make sure the fan is working, the thermostat is working, you know, like the fan is starting. Make sure you have coolant in the expansion bottle over there, you know. You have some levels over there. This bike has it here, some bikes has it, I don't know, on the side or something. Make sure there is coolant in the system. Also, you don't need to have the bike on for this. Make sure the throttle, you know, operates smooth, the brake, the clutch, everything operates smooth, okay? You don't want the throttle to be jerky or be stuck in there. Make sure it comes back to position very easy, you know. All this kind of stuff, Look for rust, look for anything you can look. One of the last things I want to show you, it's when turning on the bike. You gotta turn it on, make sure it cranks easily. You can easily listen to the engine area, okay? Make sure it doesn't have any rattles, any, I don't know, noises, you know. It's better if you don't listen to it on the side of the engine with the exhaust, like go on the other side and then listen to the engine, listen to it carefully. If it has any knocks, you know, you can even feel them. Make sure nothing like that is happening. Make sure the engine is running smooth and all that. After returning, or after you turn the bike on, a very good thing that you can do to check the bike's compression, especially for the smaller bikes, but bigger bikes as well. And if you're lucky to only have like one exhaust outlet, you turn the bike on and you just cover it here with your foot. That way you're gonna hear the engine way better, and it should stay on at least for a while, you know. It should not like die instantly. Like if the engine dies, you know, that's bad. Like as soon as you cover it, it dies. It means it doesn't have a good compression. So let's see if I can do this now. This other side and listen to the engine. Make sure it's running smooth, which it is, you know. And then you can simply cover this. You can just cover the exhaust. It needs to stay on if you cover the exhaust. If it doesn't stay on, it means there's a problem with the compression. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe again, and have a good day.